A black belt reads, September is about halfway over now. September is usually when me and a lot of people like me start rolling into that horror vibe. For October, I'll do all horror books, as a lot of you will, I'm sure. I think that's pretty common nowadays. But a lot of people actually do September and October, it seems like. It's almost like the horror season starts in September now, which I'm fine with. I did not do that. I have a few books here that are sort of horror adjacent, but not, really scary or anything. I have a plan for this horror season that's going to be a lot of fun. Let's start with Strange Weather by Joe Hill. This one is 4 novellas. So, 4 stories, not as short as a short story, but not quite novel length. So, 4 small novels that can fit into one book. This is the hardcover version. So, can I just say, Joe Hill has a new book coming out, and something about a dragon. It looks good. It looks interesting, but the hardcover is like $40. Like, man, because you can pre-order it right now. That's ridiculous. $40. I think I have maybe his last 3 books in hardcover like this because you're able to find them for like 70% off. The cover for this one's probably 30, and I got it for like $10 or something crazy. So I'm like, yeah, I'll get the hardcover. It's just $10. $40 for the hardcover. I mean, that's wild. Why is it so expensive? I won't be buying it. That's ridiculous. Even with the pre-order, like 30% off, it's like still 30 some dollars. That's ridiculous. I'll wait a couple years until that thing drops way down in price, at least 50% off or something. Anyway, not to hate on the man, but come on, that's ridiculous. All right, so 4 stories. You've got a camera, you've got firearms, you've got a cloud in the sky, and you've got rain. So strange weather. Now, I think all 4 of them have weird weather instances. Of course, you got the cloud, you've got rain. One of them, you've got fire. I think it takes place in California, so the fire is sweeping through, which is a big thing in California nowadays. And the fourth one, I think you have tornado or something. I can't remember. But the first story is kind of like a haunted camera. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it. I really like that each of these stories has a little piece of art from a different artist. Of course, you've got the artist from Lock and Key, which I love Lock and Key. You've got an artist that did his comic from Nosferatu. Anyway, the haunted camera, it was fun. The second story in here is about a shooting that happens in a mall. So you've got this questionable individual that's involved in a mall shooting. It was definitely my least favorite of the 4 stories. I think it was also the longest, which didn't help. Um, it just, it was just about firearms, and it's like it had an ending that I thought it would be interesting if he ended the book a certain way, but I doubt he will. Well, he actually did. So I did like the very, very end of it just because I didn't think he would do that. But the actual story itself, I kind of dragged myself through it. Didn't love it. Now the third story is about a cloud in the sky. So these people are up in an airplane and they're going to go skydiving. And one of them's like, "Look at that cloud over there. It looks like a UFO." And they're all a little freaked out. They all jump out of the plane. The last guy is scared to jump. When he jumps, he lands on this cloud. And it is not a cloud, it is a UFO. It's not really a spoiler, it says it right at the very beginning. The meat of the story is what happens on the cloud. I loved that story. It was definitely my favorite one. I kind of envision this guy falling. When I think of that story, I think of this cover here. You've got a guy that lands on a UFO that's like a cloud, and just it's so creative. He has such a good imagination, and those are my favorite Joe Hill moments. It's why I started to love Joe Hill because I loved Lock and Key so much. And his first short story collection, 20th Century Ghost, it's got a few stories in there that are so creative and so fun. Like the guy that's a balloon. I love that story. The fourth book in here is Rain. It's about a storm that hits Colorado, and instead of raining water, it rains these crystal spikes like nails and kills people. It's really brutal, really, really good. That's probably my second favorite in the book. So altogether, I think I gave the book 4 stars just because I really like two of them. One of them was pretty good, and the fourth one was just like, nah. So Rain actually has a graphic novel that I talked about a while back. So I feel like that one could totally just be a novel. There's so much you could dive into with this killer Rain. But yeah, Strange Weather by Joe Hill. I think I have another Joe Hill novella collection. Was it called Full Throttle? But I actually need to read The Fireman. For some reason, I thought this one came first, so I read this. I think The Fireman actually came before this book. So, whoops, I actually only skipped The Fireman, but yeah, I'll definitely check out The Fireman. I do have a copy back there. All right, next up, Jonathan Hickman. Man, what a polarizing guy. Jonathan Hickman. I've got the Black Monday Murders. Somebody recommended this to me. I mentioned that I was reading Hickman's Secret Wars and really liking it. I think I'm about 70 or so percent through the omnibus, loving it. Of course, I loved Hickman's X-Men, so they say you should check out his solo stuff. So I want to check out East of West, but I started with the Black Monday Murders. This is 2 trade paperbacks that I read digitally. It's about the Wall Street uh, trade market, and it crashes, and so it's called Black Monday when Wall Street crashes. But it's really about the rich families that run Wall Street and run the world, and it goes into some supernatural places. It's got like demons and rituals and darkness sacrificing humans, and it goes to some really wild places, and I absolutely loved it. I gave this 5 stars. Man, Jonathan Hickman. The sad thing is, it kind of ends where it could keep continuing, but I think the series is done. So it's just these, I think it's 8 issues, 4 issues in each trade paperback. Man, I could definitely keep reading it. It was so intriguing. It was so brutal, so dark. Not really like scary, but definitely horror adjacent, which, I loved. It's perfect for September. Absolutely perfect. I'm even more excited to read more Jonathan Hickman now. I've got his East of West. I've got his Avengers that I really want to read. Man, he does this thing where he does graphs. So it's almost like a whole page of the comic will just be like a graph of something that you're reading. I don't love that stuff. I don't think anybody loves that, but it wasn't enough to make me dislike this in any way. The art was really good, but really just the writing. I think Hickman is one of the best writers I've ever read, really. All right. Richard Matheson, A Stir of Echoes. So I've read a few Matheson books. I really liked Hell House. I was actually rolling through like free movies on Amazon, I think, and I saw A Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon. I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid. So I watched it and I really liked it, and I was like, I need to just read the book. So I looked, and they had the audio book for free on Audible, if you're subscribed to it. So I did the audio book of A Stir of Echoes. It is different than the movie. Very similar, like basic similarities, but it goes to some different places. I don't know. I thought the movie was actually a little bit better, maybe just because it's the modern. The book, I think, is from the 50s. And when you think about that, that's crazy. That's so long ago. That's before, you know, the modern horror boom. I think Richard Matheson was probably ahead of his time. I know he's a big influence on Stephen King. I really did enjoy it. I wouldn't say it's really horror. The movie almost seemed more horror than the book. It's got a really intriguing premise. A guy's at a party and he gets hypnotized. And he's like, "You can't hypnotize me. That stuff does not work." And there's a group of people there. So, it's proof that he does get hypnotized. And he kind of like comes to and he's like, "That didn't work, right?" And everyone's like freaked out because the hypnotist made him, you know, act like a fool and put needles in his skin and all kinds of crazy stuff. And he doesn't remember doing any of it. Well, the side effects of being hypnotized, he starts to get like psychic visions. He sees, what he thinks are like ghosts. He hears voices. He can read people's thoughts. He can't really control it. So that all that stuff's really interesting. It just it didn't quite go where I thought it would go. The movie's quite a bit different, and you know, yeah. In hindsight, I don't know. Usually the book's better, but in this case, maybe the movie was a little bit better to me. Or maybe it's just because I watched the movie first, which usually I don't do that. I usually read the book first and then watch the movie. In this case, the movie inspired me to go read the book. I really, really want to read I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. I've had that book on my shelf for like 15 years, and I still haven't read it. It's not even a long book. I don't know why I do that. Anyway, A Stir of Echoes. I gave it 3 stars. Yeah, what can I say? All right, last one here, very quickly. Through the Woods. This was recommended to me because it's like very, very light on the horror. Um, Emily Carroll's Through the Woods. I picked this up for just dirt cheap. This is one that I will probably give to my kids because it's one of those books where it could be like a stepping stone into horror because it's got some kind of like graphic horror, but it's written very simply. I mean, a baby could read this thing. It's very, very simply written. It's really about the art. The art throughout this thing is beautiful. And it's not so graphic that it would disturb anybody, I don't think. But definitely horror, I think you would say. There's blood and, murder and stuff like that. Yeah, this was good. I think I gave it 4 stars. I can't remember who recommended this to me, but I really appreciate. I had never heard of it, and it was dirt cheap, and I really enjoyed the art throughout the book. And yeah, it says that it's recommended for teenagers, so it's kind of like YA. It was very easy. I blew through this thing in one sitting, no big deal at all. So yeah, I would recommend it, especially if you have teenagers. Read it, and then you can pass it along to your kids, which is what I plan on doing. All right, that's it, y'all. Thanks for checking out the video. I've got a few more books I'm going to finish up for September, and then we'll get into our Halloween challenge for October this year. Hopefully, you guys will join me on that. We'll talk about it on the next video. See ya.